Guess who's back? Back again. This bitch is back. Tell a friend. If you clicked on this video, you either recognize at least one of these 3 thumbnails, or you have no fucking clue what any of this is about. And honey, neither do I. This morning, on September 4th, 2024, I managed to revive a YouTube account that I haven't touched for almost 10 years. And that's because I haven't been able to access it. Which is fine, that happens sometimes. My old no-name tablet broke and I couldn't register into the respective email address, and this channel basically dried up like an old abandoned ghost town with a tumbleweed silently bouncing across the screen to empathize how derelict it is. But everything that's dead used to once be alive. So let's talk about the birth of Christ. Or more importantly, the birth of this channel, which happened on 25th of December 2015. So like a day after. My avatar or profile picture that no longer exists was an original character named Christmas Cake, who started out as a My Little Pony Sona, but I drew her Equestria Girls version a lot more often than the pony one because I didn't have the patience to learn how to actually draw horses. I can do it now, but not back then. I prefer drawing humans. I love the furry community, but I apologize. Sorry guys, I guess I wasn't destined to be part of you. So Christmas Cake became part of a group of girls that represented different holidays and other concepts. Christmas Cake represented Christmas, obviously, and her best friend was like the personification of German carnival or something. This will come back later. I didn't have a Halloween nor an Easter one. Don't ask me, I don't know what I was doing. The other two were basically fairy tales and the concept of storytelling itself, I guess. Christmas Cake was basically my persona, like representing me, like as a person. I haven't drawn her in many, many years. I basically let her rot in this abandoned YouTube hellscape for almost a whole decade. Good to know this isn't Pentium machine, otherwise I'd be cooked. I have lots of, like many new OCs now that have never even traversed this land before time, and to be honest, I wasn't too mad about it. Losing this account gave me a sense of freedom, or at least the opportunity of a brand new start. An opportunity I didn't ask for, but an opportunity nonetheless. The very last video I posted was this animation meme published on September 9th, 2017, which was like 6 fucking years ago. Almost 7. I was 14 years old. My tablet was dead as fuck and I was devastated, but then I wasn't, because I have this thing about me where I'm crying and sobbing and pissing and shitting myself over any inconvenience for like a few hours max. And after that, I'm like, fuck whatever. I literally haven't seen my wallet in a week and my brain has entered this state of apathy by building like a glass wall around myself, like blocking even the smallest ounce of a negative emotion. It's not that I'm disciplined or emotionally stunted, I just don't have the energy to be mentally present on this mortal plane. And that exact trait is basically the reason why I survived 9 years without really thinking about this channel at all. I came back to it every like 2 times. This me in 2018 or something, commenting on these videos, making fun of myself and my old content, which we will get back to later. The second time was like a year ago, but in the end it just made me uncomfortable being confronted with this late 20,000s internet time capsule, so I continued ignoring it convinced that it would never play a bigger role in my life, like ever again. Well, let's say I was wrong. So about a year ago, my mother approached me with a phone in her hand in the intent to show me something. And I thought, okay, all this can be is a shitty Facebook meme or an Insta reel that will just send her further down an alt-right pipeline. But she didn't immediately show me what was on her phone. She had to give me a whole prologue. A friend of hers that I knew very well, because she basically raised me and my sibling with my parents and took care of us whenever they had to work and couldn't find a babysitter. She's a very sweet person, and she had no ill intentions or anything like that. So I want to make it clear that I'm not mad at her or anything. But basically, she found an old animation of mine, and the reason she found that shit in the first place is because the name of our hometown was literally in the fucking title. This video didn't depict anything too embarrassing or harmful or anything like that, but it was about a festival / holiday thing specific to the region I live in and depicted costumes specific to my hometown. This family friend sent that video to my mother, and they were gushing and teasing me about it, not understanding why I was freaking the fuck out. Because believe me, when my mom showed me that thumbnail and played that video out loud, I almost shat myself. No joke. Not because I forgot about that video, I was very much aware of its existence. I remembered making it, even after all these years, but now I was suddenly confronted with the nightmarish reality that people typing my hometown into the YouTube search bar will immediately be directed to the video and consequentially my old YouTube channel. Call me crazy, but I wasn't too happy with that. Now, back when I was still in possession of this channel, as a teenager, I was aware that if you Googled my name, my YouTube channel and Google Plus account, rest in peace, would be the first thing to come up. Back then I wasn't too worried about any of that, and you can ask me why, but I can't answer you because I don't fucking know. This is not the case anymore because my name is now associated with newspaper articles that I wrote a couple years ago. So now that will be the thing that comes up instead. My old YouTube is also it's just no longer tied to my fucking legal name because it's no longer the name of this fucking channel. Yes, I had my legal name, first and last name, as my channel name. Teenagers are fucking stupid. Again, no bad thoughts about that family friend, whatsoever. I didn't yell at her or insult her or anything. I'm not even mad at her. And actually, I should be grateful because her showing my mom that animation finally smashed the glass walls protecting my little pink noggin from the psychic damage casted by the relentless teenage absurdism that had been bunkered on YouTube.com for way too long. Trust me, it was quite the experience diving back into the cesspool. It opened a Pandora's box of cringe, coping mechanism, worrisome suicidal ideation, and mildly ignorant insensitivity that should otherwise only be handled with a gas mask. Now I could spend the rest of this video making fun of my younger self, but like I said, I already did that. A very weak moment of my life where I thought that I could teach myself how to be more confident if I made fun of myself. And it kind of worked, but I was just way too harsh and not even funny. Teenagers are ridiculed enough. We deserve a break. I say we as if I'm still a teenager, but spiritually, I'm still with you guys. So in case you immediately went to look for the video that I just talked about, you will be faced by the disappointing realization that it no longer exists. because the minute I got access again, you can bet your ass I wiped every single video that I've had wet dreams of deleting, like, for years. Like, along with every video that in any way, shape, or form contains my legal name, my siblings' legal name, my friends' or classmates' names, faces, voices, or likeness, and of course, my goddamn hometown. I no longer want this channel to be associated with my life outside of the internet. It was never meant for that. There was just no real way for me to understand that as a teenager. I didn't think anyone from real life would ever come across this channel, and I wasn't completely stupid for that. Like, I had no friends at the time, and my classmates, like, didn't really care or pay attention to me. Like, I spent most of my breaks in secondary school, like, freezing to death on the schoolyard because we weren't allowed to stay inside during breaks, no matter the, like, weather conditions. And I was just, like, standing there and, like, freezing and reading. Like, I was the quiet bookworm child who, like, doodled My Little Pony characters in my worksheets and got called out for it by my teacher and, like, from the entire class. Like, most of my teachers were actually, like, really nice to me and supportive of me. They just didn't understand that I was clearly an undiagnosed neurodivergent child who needed help and just had different ways of, like, paying attention. Like, I couldn't pay attention when I looked at them, like, standing there in front and, like, talking to us. I had to, like, draw and look somewhere else. It's, like, just a me thing. And they were, like, really insistent on helping me, like, connecting to my peers and finding friends and just being involved in the class. But whenever they approached me or took me out of class, like, earnestly asking me why I was always alone and reading books instead of talking to people, and it was well-intentioned and well-meaning, but it just felt like I broke a rule, and they're, like, reprimanding me in a friendly fashion. Like, why are you reading? I don't know. I don't know why I'm alone on the playground, like, not talking to anyone. It's just, like, it's the only thing I know. The internet was a different world to me. Like, it's what inspired me to share my art online, like, engage in communities or fandoms of, like, media that I liked, talk to other people, write fan fiction, improving my English, and, like, so on and so forth. I was a different person there. Or, like, maybe not really. I just felt brave enough to, like, show parts of myself that I didn't get to show in real life. And those parts were, like, really, really big because I barely ever talked or interacted with anyone in real life. And I felt like most people that I knew just wouldn't understand or just be further alienated when they, like, got to know me in this way. And I was kind of right. My channel was later discovered by my only friend that I had in that class. We used to be friends in, like, kindergarten, and we were separated in elementary school because we attended different elementary schools, and then befriended, like, again in, like, 6th grade, 7, I don't even remember. And at first she was, like, amazed by my animations. Like, she really liked them, especially, like, the animation meme songs, and they would get stuck in her head, and we would talk about it, and we would start quoting, like, The One Thing You Can't Replace by John Mulaney, because I made, like, an animatic about that, which took, like, a whole day or two, and it's still, like, really bad. But, like, basically, one day, like, she stopped talking to me, like, out of nowhere. And I have this thing where, like, I'm not trying to, like, make this meme where it's like, oh, I'm such an empath, but I'm, like, conditioned in this way where I can immediately tell that something is wrong. Like, even if there's nothing specific in the behavior. Like, we had a fallout, basically, and we didn't speak for, like, 2 years, 3 years. Like, we are friends today, and, like, we are really good friends. She's a great person. We have lots of inside jokes. Barely anyone in this world understands me as much as she does, and I wouldn't trade her for the world. But in that time frame, where she suddenly stopped talking to me, she was, like, very, like, extremely upset with me. I still didn't, to this day, I don't fully know or remember what her exact reasoning was, because we were, like, stupid kids who couldn't communicate properly. But I have reason to assume that my YouTube channel isn't completely innocent in this. Because I just remember her telling me, like, that, like, people in her family or, like, her mother or whatever, like, told her that she shouldn't associate with people like me. And it was, like, after, like, she stopped talking about my YouTube channel, like, all of a sudden. And basically, like, I made lots of animation memes and, like, goofy-ass videos with very aged humor.
I have a pen, I have an apple, apple pen.
And at the same time, there was, like, also an alarming amount of videos just, like, containing shitty animations of, like, people dying, hurting and or killing themselves or each other. I wasn't a violent person. Like, I never intended to hurt anyone. I didn't plan to hurt anyone. I didn't feel, like, good about people suffering. Hell, I was the type of kid who to start crying when my mom made me kill a bug or, like, a spider. I refused to, like, hit my younger sibling when we were young kids. Like, not even as revenge, because it just felt wrong to do. Like, I would let her hit me, but I would never hit her back. Like, I'm just a very sensitive person. Like, these videos weren't rooted in any, like, actual intent or, like, obsession with violence or, like, willingness to harm myself or others. My friend being upset by this content was completely justified, especially because I named a character after her that would, like, die in one of the videos. It wasn't her. It was a character in a story. But I understand why that might look a little bad. That didn't look good. I admit it. And back then I saw, like, nothing wrong with this type of, like, content, because as a chronically online teenager, I consumed content like Yandere Simulator, Happy Tree Friends, and like horrific My Little Pony related animations. I wasn't one of those kids who, like, grew up on gore or whatever. Like, I was lucky enough to avoid that shit. Depicting death or murder in animation memes, though, was, like, a very common, like, in that community. I was never famous on there. Maybe I made it, making it sound like it. I was really not famous at all. But I grew up on, like, religiously consuming that content, like Kitty Dog, Birdies, Scooter Love Sands, Sashley, Ghostface Nicole, and all these, like, people. At the same time, I watched cringe compilations of, like, Sans fangirls killing each other. By the way, I still think it was wrong of people to, like, make fun of these girls. Like, they clearly had issues, but they were just teenagers acting out. There was really nothing, like, that wrong about that content. Like, there was, but we'll come back to that. Like, I was aware that some of my animations could be seen as worrisome, because I, like, never wanted anyone to see them, so that, like, implies that I kind of understood something. I just didn't fully grasp why people saw it that way. Like, me and my sibling got into trouble often enough, and my mother caught us, like, watching, like, Yandere Simulator Let's Plays, or, like, she misunderstood us quoting 21 Pilot songs as, like, suicide proclamations. But she would only, like, take away our phones for, like, a day and then give them back and never address it again. And people get mad at parents for letting their kids experience the internet, like, raw and without any restrictions or protections. And I understand why. Like, especially nowadays. Like, from modern perspective, you know what you're getting into. Like, I think it's wrong to put an iPad in your toddler's grabby, slimy little hands, just so you don't have to deal with them for, like, a couple hours. My opinion slightly changes when it comes to, like, younger millennials and older Zoomers, like me. Like, don't get me wrong, I still think it was the parents' responsibility to make sure that we weren't bombarded with, like, My Little Pony gore and NSFW content in the mid-2000s. But, like, at the same time, my parents are Gen Xers. They didn't grow up with the internet. They had other shit to worry about when they were teens, like fucking Sky caving in on them in case the big bad Russian or the big bad Yankee, like, pushed the button that would vaporize everything they know and love. To this day, I have no clue. how I would even begin to like explain to my mother what, I don't know, fucking Gamergate is, or what fandoms are, or the absolute depravity that took place on sites like DeviantArt. Like, my parents just recently like barely understood what memes are. It is not like the media approached these sort of topics either. Like, for a really long time, it was just not fully addressed, especially in Germany. Like, there's this famous quote by Angela Merkel.
Das Internet ist für uns alle Neuland.
In the year of our Lord, 2013. You couldn't make this shit up if you tried. Now, I wasn't groomed online. I didn't see any intense gore, but I made animations involving death because internet animations desensitized me to that stuff. It's not the worst thing ever. Like I said, people have experienced worse. Like, shit that's traumatized them for life. But like, with these animation memes, I don't think the kids and teens that channel their anger and mental illness through animation and art, like, are any kind of morally like bankrupt or just evil or have something like intensely wrong with them. Like, we were kids. It's worrisome if it goes completely unchecked or develops like into something more sinister. But like, I had some dark vent art in my sketchbooks too. Like, just pages upon pages, just like filled with ink drawings of angels like bleeding from their eyes and wings and shit. Nobody saw that. It was private and just like my way of expressing myself. The issue of doing this on the internet, especially back then, is that it happened within like tight communities. Like, there was an audience now. This shit was no longer private. People could look at this. Like, not just people your age, but also just like these weird like anti-SJW dudes who like make reaction videos to your content. Like, other people could see your vent art. For better or for worse. Like, you had people who understood and supported you and related to you. But in case of creators like Birdie, who were, you know, like actually famous and well known, unlike me, like had to deal with so much completely unnecessary dramatization, like grooming and just unironic witch hunts. Like, I watched his recent video, and in hindsight, it really isn't surprising that it was mostly like mentally ill children, like on the spectrum with like difficult family situations, that saw the appeal and like expressing themselves within internet communities. But for some of these people, it just like went way too far. Like, they got famous against their will, and there's like a good side to that because you find a community. But at the same time, people turn on you and harass you, and it's not a good place for children to be there, like unsupervised. So if I could like give any advice to like young parents, me as a childless woman, like, I would advise you to like pay attention to what your children are doing online, and you shouldn't be overbearingly vigilant and constantly read through their phone and like, God forbid, especially not yell or like physically harm them or whatever you find, because my mom would like do that, like punish me or like take phones away, but then like never address it, and that just like just alienated me a lot more from her and made me hide stuff a lot better. If you have a good relationship with your children, like, they would already be a lot more willing to be honest with you and just talk unprompted about content they consume online, and like try to be up to date with what's going on specific social media sites that your children use, and like talk, like not preach, but like talk to them about your worries. Like, you could be wrong in certain situations and they can like just educate you on it, but you need to be like up to date and not like fearmonger, like make Facebook posts about like gang signs or whatever. Like, just be an adult, like take this shit seriously. And also, even if you don't understand everything, try to like see what your child, like what's appealing about it to your child. And at the end of the day, you can like still talk about it. onto a lighter note, because we just delved into like very psychologically dark territory here, I think we need a palate cleanser. So, mystery skulls. Yes, I'm the person who made that one mystery skulls animation, which doesn't really sound like an achievement, because again, I was never famous. I think my most watched video has like 500 views, I don't know. But there's an experience I've had a couple months ago that kind of changed my perspective on that and my YouTube channel and made me like just understand the song It's a Small World. I never liked that song and I still don't like it. But it makes more sense to me now. So my sibling, who's younger than me, had an online friend for a while. It wasn't too long ago. It was like everything happened last year. Like this online friend that they would talk to on Discord occasionally. This kid was US American, so it wasn't exactly like a next door neighbor situation. So they were talking one time. I wasn't present for this, but I was like told this like after it happened. They were talking one time and the conversation moved to the topic of like the animation meme community. And like what specific creators and animations like they grew up watching on YouTube. And they start sending each other like old animation memes from like several years ago. And this fella from the good old US of A sent my goddamn Mystery Skulls animation to my sibling, who obviously lost their shit live on call. Like they still like remembered exactly how I spent an entire fucking day making that thing while we were like on vacation in Croatia. I made that thing while on my period, by the way, like call it girl bossing. The video was for a contest / collaboration thing, like between the artist Mystery Skulls. I don't know if that's a band or like a single artist. I never listened to them again. Like the song is okay, but like after a whole day of having to listen to it over and over again in order to get the animation right, I can't fucking hear it anymore. Like I mute the sound every time I rewatch the video. No offense, but like it's just what it is. Like between Mystery Skulls and the animation app Flipperclip, animation tool, it's an app basically that I used to animate my videos. So I caught wind of the fact that this music artist was collaborating with Flipperclip and they were like encouraging people who use their app to like animate to this part of the song. And it was like this contest where they would pick out videos, like they would pick out animations for like a music video basically. And I thought, hey, why the fuck not? And like in the end, it turned out to be a complete waste of time because although the official Flipperclip YouTube account saw it, put it on the playlist, and like it didn't make it into the final product. You don't understand like how disappointed I was when I watched that whole thing and there was not like a single like bit of yeah, well, I'm over it, like sort of. Like whenever I get a notification from Flipperclip nowadays, like announcing a new project or collaboration or contest or anything, I still feel that bitterness inside me. Like I sit there and think, no, I'm not giving you that. I'm not giving you the satisfaction. What the fuck did I just say? Satisfaction of making me look like a fool. But I guess I just did that myself, so. But I guess this story has a moral, like a lesson in the end. Because like it turns out it wasn't a total waste of time. Because people did actually like it when I posted it. And like according to this random American my sibling talked to, people actually grew up watching my shit. Like good to know. I don't know how that makes me feel. Like a year has passed. I don't know how to feel about it. It makes the world, like I said, just feel so much smaller than it actually is. So lesson learned. Kids, if you think your art's not worth it, create it anyway. Like, it should be for your own satisfaction. Said it right this time. It should be for your own satisfaction, like, first and foremost. And, like, somebody out there will like it and, like, cherish the memory of it. Like, even when you don't find that out until years later, it's for you and everyone who comes along, like, comes along. Like, you will find at least one person who, like, finds joy in what you create. Also, no, it wasn't inspired by Undertale. So yeah, I have no idea why this video gained so many views, because when I initially, like, made it and posted it, it got no engagement whatsoever. But, like, yeah, I made a Spongebob version of the Gravity Falls intro because those were, like, shows that I really enjoyed back then. And yes, I made them humans because I was obsessed with the concept of gijinkas, or, like, what I don't know how to pronounce that, like, humanizations of things or characters that aren't humans. Because I just couldn't fucking draw the SpongeBob characters. I just do like humanoid, like, things. Like, why do you think I couldn't draw horses? I already talked about this. And I just really appreciate this guy, like, dissecting this video as if he's my depressed, twice divorced, and out of touch with the youth English teacher. And I turned in this shit instead of, like, my essay that was due 2 weeks ago. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I know there was animation errors in there. I left them in there because I was too tired to fix it. And I thought nobody would, like, watch this anyways.
Club going up on the Tuesday. Got your girl in the color she choose.
Yes. I know. I wasn't the first one to use the song or, like, cover Tuesday featuring Danielle Sandoval? I don't even know who that is. Like, I used her song to make an animation meme about it. Because I heard the song on the radio late at night, and I was like, this sounds like you could make an animation meme about it. I didn't know that someone else had, like, already made, like, an original meme. Because if you don't know, like, it's common for the animation meme that someone does something for the first time, like, someone uses, I don't know, like, a fucking ABBA song to make an animation meme, but then everyone else credits them, like, does a similar thing, and, like, credits them in their description or whatever. Like, you have to credit the person who made it. I don't know if it's when it's, like, really, really famous ones, or, like, ones that have been done many, many times, like the Pusher meme, if people still credit the person who originally made it, because it's been done over and over again by so many people. But it is common to credit, like, the original animation meme. I just didn't know that someone had already made it, and I found out after posting it, because it was literally the only fucking thing people would comment. And, like, don't get me wrong, I don't want to sound pissy. I appreciate being informed about stuff like this. I don't think you need to be the 100th person to say something when you're, the 100th person to do so. Like, thanks for telling me. But many, many people before you already did, and you can see that. Like, I don't get this sort of thing. Like, it's the same thing with, like, the Roots one. Same exact story. Heard that song on the radio, thought it sounded like something that could be an animation meme. Made an animation meme about it. I had the gall and the gumption to call it original. I know it's not original. I'm so sorry. If you want to, like, show up at my house and punch me in the face, I guess I don't deserve anything better than that. But, like, you can tell me once, and it's like, okay. But if you see it so many people before you did it, like, you don't have to. I wasn't in the Country Humans fandom. Like, at all. Like, ever. Like, not even a little bit. Like, I never made art for it. Never made animation memes. I didn't even have this account anymore when it was like, when Country Humans was like a thing. If you don't know what it is, it's like this thing people made. I don't even remember how it started. I have no idea about this, like, whole history. No pun intended. It's basically people take countries and their faces are like the flags, and it's like human versions, and they make them interact within animation memes and probably fanfiction. I haven't checked that one out, and I never will. Again, I was never part of it. Like, hell, I literally argued with people online who were like making animation memes that were just very insensitive. I don't want to say that it's because I'm German. Like, it's not a German thing. Like, many German people are stupid. It's more like a common sense thing. I just didn't really appreciate the just sexualization. Jesus. And just animification of like the Third Reich or whatever. Like, it was so bizarre and like frustrating, and I was still a stupid teenager when that whole shit like started, but I had very strong opinions about making like Nazi OCs, or just like romanticizing that, or just being insensitive about that whole topic. Like, that's a big no-no. Like, you can't do that. There's many things you can do. You can have like Mary Sue's and people with heterochromia and just like colorful fur. You can do all of that. Be cringe, be free, but like not that. Like, no. Like, no. The reason I'm talking about this at all is because, like, years before Country Humans was even a thing, I was, again, like a stupid little like teenager on my YouTube channel that you're watching this video on, and I did make human versions of European countries. It was just European countries. I did make one for like the US too, but not other countries, because even then I was like smart enough to not like delve into like accidental racism or whatever. It wasn't an active decision, but in hindsight it feels like something inside me knew that I shouldn't dip my toes in that. But yeah, I made like lots of videos about these like European girls, as I would call it, which sounds like a porn title if you think about it. But like, you won't find any of these videos anymore because they're now deleted. Like, there wasn't anything too controversial in that, like no like real racism or like anything hateful or whatever. Like, it was all with like good Christian liberal intent. Let's just say I used these characters to, for lack of better terms, express my condolences towards certain worldly political events that my underdeveloped frontal lobe was unable to fully grasp, but still felt a certain way about. Again, nothing too bad, nothing too offensive. I know that younger me came from like a genuine place of like empathy and just wanting to somehow like deal and express themselves about these like horrific things that kept happening over and over again in other countries that was like so close to mine. And like, shit happened in Germany too. Like, it wasn't just like other countries. But even in hindsight, sometimes I think back about like stuff that happened like 2015, 2016, and I don't understand why people feel nostalgic about these years. I guess nostalgia is like a liar anyway, and most of the time we feel nostalgic about like a time long gone that, if you think about it for longer than 2 seconds, wasn't really all that like good. There's maybe small things that you feel good about. Like, I still feel nostalgic about animation memes and like music I listened to back then and when I see old art of mine, but I do not feel nostalgic about, first of all, the internet was like shit back then. Like, all the stuff I talked about earlier, and like all the anti-SJW shit, and even politically, like, I started paying more attention to politics around that time, which sounds like a red flag, but I didn't like argue with people online. I just like watched television and just wanted to be aware of what's going on, like France and the US and just like Syria and all that. There was so much like horrible stuff happening. Like I heard so many stories about like just people trying to like migrate into a safer country. Like those years weren't good. I advise anyone who like thinks about 2014, 15, 16, 17 as like a better time to be alive. I'm not trying to tell you that you're wrong. I would just encourage you. Think about it and then come back to me.
They're playing My Chemical Romance! Nicole, you know I'm scared of emos!
So basically, I don't really make art for any of these characters anymore that you see in these videos, like with like Christmas cake and like her whole posse. And the European girls have been like wiped off the internet. Like I don't want to touch that shit anymore of like a 10-foot pole. But like there's one set of characters that I still draw to this day, and it's the one that I've seen in the Killjoys Make Some Noise video, featuring, I don't know how to, like what this title is supposed to be. Na 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 na. You know, My Chemical Romance, like the best band on this planet, like still my favorite band to this day. And like they're back, by the way. They are back. We are so back. Did I talk about that I love My Chemical Romance? So the characters are Poppy Rose and Faye, two alien princesses, and like Tatiana Discortes, like an alien assassin, and Annalise, who's like just a human, but like becomes like also an assassin later. And they're basically just this group of like space assassins with like cool ice raining outfits, and they have weapons, and they like fight just huge armies of like robots and aliens. And it was mostly like based on me listening to like pop music by like Pink and Lady Gaga and all that. But yeah, I still draw them sometimes. Like speaking of, you should like absolutely follow me on Instagram, because it's the only social media I actively use and post art on. Sometimes I use Tumblr too, like where I'm called Killjoy-toast. You can tell My Chemical Romance had like a massive just vice grip on my throat by all the usernames I have. I don't have a Twitter. And no, I'm not calling it X. Like Elon Musk can suck the shit out of my asshole for all I care. So basically, after successfully resuscitating this channel back to life from its Sleeping Beauty slumber, I'm kind of still indecisive on what to actually do with it. I haven't animated in so long, like only occasionally, like this Charlie Morningstar magical girl transformation I made on my newer YouTube channel, that you should subscribe to, by the way. Yeah, the magical girls still have a death grip on me, as you can tell. Maybe it will be animations, maybe occasional speed paints, or commentary, I don't know. This was actually a lot more fun to make. I was so hesitant on like actually recording my voice because I'm a horrible speaker. And my accent's also really bad. But I could do that. I want this channel to be something different. Like I don't want to delete it because I just managed to get back into it, because I've had tried that so many times, and now I suddenly was lucky enough to get the right password combination to actually access it. But I guess I will just decide along the way, like whatever doesn't work on my newer YouTube channel, I guess will go to this one. But I want it to be something else. I want it to be what it should have been from the beginning, and that's just like a faceless persona without my full name, without my hometown, without me like almost accidentally like doxing me and everyone else. So I guess we're in for a reintroduction. So, hi. My name is Vivian. I'm 21 years old. My pronouns are she, her, they, them, but I technically don't really care what people refer to me as online. Like, I'm a cis woman, but I've in my life been for like every single letter of the LGBT like acronym. But I stuck with L because I take L's on a daily basis. I'm a lesbian on the aro A spectrum, very likely neurodivergent, an atheist, and I live in Germany, which is why I sound like I'm planning to become the overlord of the tri-state area. I always wanted to do that. I like writing, reading, and drawing. Like, especially if it involves demons. Like, I'm just really fascinated by demons. Like, again, like I said, I'm an atheist. Like, I don't believe that they're real or anything. I just like putting horns and tails and fangs onto characters. They fascinate me, okay? I just think they're neat. I like watching YouTube while drawing, especially anything by Snapcube or AstroSwift. Like, they're my comfort streamers, I guess. I still like My Little Pony and Spongebob. Still, like, I don't think I would be the same person without these shows. But I've also moved on to stuff like Good Omens and BoJack Horseman and Hazbin Hotel, which are currently my favorite shows. But usually, like, the media I consume, like movies and shows, is usually just like kids media. Because there's just like a comfort in it. And probably also just part of that very likely neurodivergent diagnosis that will hopefully one day just happen. Because I need an explanation for why I'm the way that I am. I like music from like the 90s and early 2000s, like Nirvana, The Offspring, My Chemical Romance, like Fall Out Boy, Sum 41, Green Day, Insane Clown Posse, like all of that. But also like 2010s like pop music, like Lady Gaga or Kesha. But also like specifically with the 90s, like 90s EDM just fucks. I don't know. Like I love listening to it when I'm doing like speed paints with a lot of eye strain. And as you can see, I still don't know how colors work or what colors like work together. I have my own like sense and understanding that lots of people don't agree with. Like even today on like reels and stuff where I do speed paints, I still sometimes get comments by people who don't follow me but like find me on their For You page, and they give me a lot of advice of like how to color better, how to like make colors like less, is it saturated or desaturated? I don't even know, like less bright. And then literally minutes after, they will comment again and be like, never mind, I just looked at your account, you just draw like that. I'm sorry, dude. But like, yeah, I'm not changing it. Like, I love Ice Train. It has to be neon pink, neon green, the ugliest fucking yellow you've ever seen. There is no like aesthetic or like, I don't care about if your eyes burn out of your eye sockets. This is how it works in these parts of town, okay? Remember how I talked about the ghost town? Yeah, that like this town, it's not big enough for the two of us. Unless you let me make my Ice Train. And I think you can still kind of tell that my art style was just mainly inspired by Equestria Girls, like the human versions of My Little Pony. Like, I would hope that there's a lot more like body diversity in my current art style than there is in the Equestria Girls like show and movies. But like the eyes and everything, I'm pretty sure you can still tell. Like, people on the internet can tell. Like, people in real life still refer to it as anime, and it upsets me. Not because there's anything wrong with anime, but it's like just not anime, you know? Like call me, like, that's not my name. Call me by my name, okay? So, anyway, in case you like want to hear about a story time about like 2 years ago when I got suddenly, unexpectedly bombarded with Christian hate comments on Instagram because I dared to like draw Jesus hanging out with Judas and Peter in the afterlife. And people like called me a bunch of slurs for it. Would like send their followers to mass report me and like preach to me in my DMs. If you want to hear that story, all you gotta do is just like, subscribe, and if this video gets 1 million views,